Hi guys, and welcome to Aussie Tech Gaming. Yes, this is the new name, same channel, same idiot running it. Did I just call myself an idiot? Anyway guys, welcome to the channel. I'm going to start doing a little bit more games like this where you're going to be watching some kind of gameplay in the background, listening, which is usually related to the kind of discussion that I'm going to have with you all. And as you would have seen by the interesting topic for this video, loose rear ends. No, I'm not talking about someone with diarrhea or anything like that. I'm talking about the loose rear ends with a car, in car sims. You see, there's this gem of a game in the past called Grand Prix Legends by Papyrus. This game really started a huge change in the direction of racing simulations, as it was a very realistic simulation and was not an easy game to drive with as well. It was very loose, especially the rear ends, but you have to remember that a Grand Prix Legends car had no downforce in the front or rear. It was all reliant down to traction of the tyres. So yes, a game like that was very loose. Unfortunately, this basically created a thing ever since I've noticed in a lot of racing games where they felt, hey, to be realistic, because Grand Prix Legends was realistic, let's make our sims the same. Let's make them loose, make them, it must be hard to control, that must be realistic. The harder the control, the more realistic the game is. Which is actually why I never liked EA's Formula 1 games that they used to have back then. Everyone loved them. I used to like the Grand Prix ones because they were more realistic with its handling. People say, oh, it had too much traction. Well, that's actually what it's more like. They just thought that because EA's one had less grip in the rear and you could power slide out of the corners, that's more realistic to a point. But fast forward to today, and a lot of racing games are bad for this. Probably truthfully, the worst sim or sim-ish game for real looseness of its simulation is Forza, especially Forza 7. Forza 6 wasn't as bad. Forza 7's really bad with being loose rear end. Like, you can have a point where you're going around a corner, you don't even touch the throttle and the whole rear end starts going out, even though you've got a car that's supposedly got a lot of grip in the rear. No, it just loses its rear end. I think unfortunately sim racing has been ruined a lot by this whole, oh, loose must be realistic. No, it's actually, a loose rear end is a sign of actually bad, in real life, is a sign of a badly, set up vehicle. Now, a bit of background with me when it comes to sims. I used to work with a real V8 supercar team here in Australia. I had my racing license. I've been involved in real life motorsport, and my main job with the V8 supercar team was data logging. So my job was to sit down at the computer and work out how changes to a vehicle would affect the handling of the cars in real life. So I have a pretty good idea what's real and what's not. So okay, that's a bit of background there. And I just feel that a lot of sims nowadays, worse as I said, is Forza Motorsport 7. Project Cars 2 has got worse in that area. Number 1 wasn't too bad. Number 2, they seem to go down that line again, and the rear ends just come around too easily, way too easily, and it takes away a lot of the fun. Some people seem to think that's realistic. It's not. A well set up vehicle will not be so loose in its rear end like that, especially certain vehicles, like if lately in Forza Motorsport 7 they've added the new Senna, the McLaren Senna. Now that car's got a lot of downforce for a road car, yet the rear end just wants to spin out all the time. Oh, by the way, apologies if you hear road noise and indicators and stuff, because I'm actually recording this while driving. Just recording, I've got a recorder set up, recording my voice. Anyway, so yeah, I just think games that I think have got much better and much more realistic when it comes to rear or less rear looseness is for consoles. Gran Turismo Sport is all the Gran Turismo games have been much better in that area. They're not nearly as loose in the rear end unless you do something really bad with the suspension setup. Assetto Corsa is pretty good in that area. R Factor 2, iRacing. Now these are sims that are much more sim-like, and they are not nearly as loose unless you really do stuff up the setup and stuff like that. And then sometimes loose can be fast because you've got less drag, but also loose can be slow around corners. And these guys are handling much better. But I think the perception that a loose handling sim in the rear end is realistic, and it's not. It just really bugs me for a lot of these racing games nowadays. As I said, I like Assetto Corsa and the new Compensine, the new GT3 game that's coming out. I've been a beta tester since day one with that. And that game's showing a lot of promise. And its handling, I think, is a lot more realistic. And no loose rear end. It really bugs me, that rear end. Just a loose rear end, you know. I won't even say that to my girlfriend or wife or whatever. You know, you're definitely not going to be getting any if you tell them that they've got a loose rear end. And you know what? I want a good handling car and girlfriend. You know, I want them good handling, you know. I don't want them loose and stuff like that. I want them nice and... you know what I was going to say there, so let that go with your mind. So, yeah, that's my opinion. And also, not just opinion, but I remember back in the Grand Prix 4 days and the F1 EA game, everyone was praising EA, saying, oh, it's much more realistic than Microprose's Grand Prix game, and you know, it's too loose and you can go around the tracks faster than in real life. And I remember having an online chat with a certain Formula 1 driver back then who was driving for Williams, an Australian Mark Webber. And I asked him, because he did do some sim racing, which sim did he feel is more realistic? And he said, Microprose Grand Prix 4, so much better, so much more realistic than EA's. He said EA's was, guess what? Too loose in the rear. He said the feel of grip and aero in Grand Prix 4 was much better. And he also said in a racing sim, if they're done well and realistic, you should actually be able to lap a track faster than in real life. And he put it down to one reason: lack of fear. In a sim, you can go as flat out, say through El Rouge and stuff like that at Spa and certain other tracks, where in real life you'll back off a little bit, because if you stuff up, you're dead. You could not afford to have an accident. In a computer game, you don't have that fear factor. So in general, in a computer game, if it's done realistically, you should actually be able to lap the track quicker than in real life, because the lack of fear factor. There you go. I bet none of you have ever thought of that aspect to a sim racing game. Okay, I've gone on for long enough. This has been a long one. So I was recording it, you would have seen in the background, this was been a race in Project Cars 2 at Bathurst. I think I finished 12th from, I can't remember, I think I started 25th. I can't even remember what difficulty level I had it in, but it was a lot of fun, and hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. I'm not going to agree if you don't agree with me, but that's just me. It's my way or the highway. Anyway, I hope you like the new channel name and want to start growing this gaming channel again. I'm not going to get into controversial topics, though I suppose loose rear ends is a little bit controversial, isn't it? Anyway, guys, I'm Ian. This is Aussie Tech Gaming. Catch you guys all later.